And today, I just wanted to take a quick moment and I want to talk to you about how to deal with fear. How to deal with fear. And the reason I want to cover this is because I was doing a session just the other day, and we were talking about how to deal with fear, and that was part one. And just helping people understand that fear is something that's very real. Fear is something that comes at all of us in a very real way. And sometimes we're not prepared. Sometimes we don't have the strategies, we don't have the tools, and we don't have things like that, the resources to apply. And ultimately, if we don't have those things, then we won't know how to handle and how to deal with fear. So I want you to go ahead and just share this out, share this with a friend. I think this will be really beneficial just in the time that we're in right now, helping us to not just learn how to run from fear, but ultimately how to mitigate and then how to decrease it and then do what we need to do so that we can make sure that we move forward and progress. Right. And this is going to be the mental health moments. And this is something that I started doing because I want to make sure that we begin to raise awareness on in regards to mental health and make sure that we help people understand and normalize the feelings that some individuals are having. Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And if you all are in the same boat with me, if you agree, go ahead and say yeah in the comments. Just type in yeah. So the first way that how we can deal with fear, right? The first way that we can deal with fear is by taking deep breaths. John, how is taking deep breaths going to help me when I'm in a fearful situation? One thing that I've began to realize is that by taking deep breaths, like going to inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale, right? Doing these things, this begins to calm our mind. This begins to calm like all this extra energy that we have. And sometimes we're like, what do we do with it? Where does it go? And I want to shout out, I want to shout out one of my clients. His name is Steve Venzel. And one thing that Steve does, he's really great because he does mindfulness training. Okay. And with Steve doing the mindfulness training, we've been working together for what, 6-7 weeks now. And I've been having Steve at the beginning of our time together. I've said, Steve, go ahead, walk us through a mindfulness exercise. So he'll walk us through a few mindfulness exercises. He'll help us decrease our stress. And then after that, then we're able to move on with the presentation. So first things first, you want to take deep breaths because it helps relax your mind and help put you at ease. Okay. So that's the first point I want to share with you today. The second one, and I know this one might feel like a stretch. Somebody might say, John, there's no way I'm doing that because I don't want to even think about it. But there's a movie by Martin Lawrence, and I believe Danny DeVito. And the movie is called What's the Worst That Can Happen? Right? What's the worst that can happen? It's kind of like when you're having one of those bad days and you're like, what else could go wrong? And then it seems like something else goes wrong. A lot of times we're fearful of thinking about what could happen, right? We get to the place to where we're thinking, what if I lose my job? What if I get cut from the team? What if? And then we began to create this monster in our lives because we're focusing on the what if. And a lot of times the what if never happens. The what if never becomes a reality. And now all this time, all this energy we've invested in the what if this, what if I lose my job? What if I break up with this person? To realize that we've given all this energy and we've poured into this idea or this fear, false evidence appearing real, that never even took place. So I want you to think about this. Next time you're in a tough situation, you're fearful. I want you to really think for a second, well, what is the worst that can happen? And then begin to assess right where you are, right? What's the worst that can happen? I can run out of gas. If I could run out of gas, then maybe I should go to the gas station and gas up right now, right? Because fear puts us in a space to where one of two things happen, right? Fear puts us in a space to where either we just stay in the space, we continue to play the what if game and we make this mountain big, right? And then we just continue to be fearful about what if, or on the other side, fear gets big and then it forces us to take action. It challenges us to move forward. COVID-19. A lot of people are fearful now, and a lot of people were fearful before. But at the same time, some people are like, wait a minute, I'm scared about certain things, so let me begin to put other things in order, right? If there's anybody out there who hears me, and if there's anybody out there who feels what I'm saying, I want you to just say, oh, yeah. So first things first, we talked about taking deep breaths, relaxing our mind, making sure that's at ease. Relaxing our mind, quieting our thoughts. The second thing is we ask ourselves, what's the worst that could possibly happen? Right? Because in a perfect world, if the worst thing actually did happen, then you would be at ground zero, and then you could begin to work yourself upward, right? If the worst possible thing happened. However, let's say you've plateaued halfway and you're like, well, what if I fail? Well, what if I don't? What if I fail? What if I don't? Then you're right here, and then nothing has taken place. So you're still not on steady ground. But if the worst does happen and you fail, then you can begin to start building yourself up from that point. And the last point I want to share with you, my friends, today is just do it. Like Nike, just do it. A lot of times, Jonathan has been in a space to where Jonathan was afraid. I remember. And even sometimes now, this happens to me. Going into a dark room. And going into the dark room, I would always feel for the light switch. I'm trying to find it, trying to flip it on, whatever. And I flip it and the light doesn't come on, and I'm scared and I'm afraid because I'm in this dark room and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, what's supposed to happen now? And where's this light switch? I have to turn on the light. And then after I've been in the dark for maybe a couple of seconds, maybe a minute or so, and I realized whatever I was fearful about happening when I entered the room didn't happen because I'm still here. You just have to just do it. For you, it might be just doing it going into a dark room. It might be just doing it by you striving and stepping out and then going and attending a counseling session. For you, the just do it might be approaching that difficult conversation with your significant other, with your spouse. I've been there. Hello. I've been there. There were some things that I wasn't ready to talk to my wife about, or I was afraid to talk to my wife about. And then after we had the conversation, I was like, oh, well, why didn't I say something before? John, why didn't you say something before? That's so silly. So my friends, today, I don't want you to be fearful because we talked about how to deal with fear. The first way, deep breaths. Quiet the thoughts in your head. Release all that extra energy. The second one, ask yourself, what is the worst that could really happen? And then, if the worst happens, great. Now we're at a place to where we can begin to build from. And then the last one, just do it. Take action and just move forward. I don't want you to be a prisoner of your own fears. I don't want you to be a prisoner in your own mind. I don't want you to be held up to a space to where you feel like you aren't able to be your best self. So we addressed how to deal with fear. My friends, I'm going to be approaching other topics in regards to these mental health moments, just as we continue to try to bring to the forefront and try to increase awareness around mental health, especially as I get ready to present to Southern Illinois University, to the athletic department. I'm going to be keynoting for their mental health awareness week next week. So if there's a topic or if there's something that you want me to cover, please let me know and we'll make sure to cover that topic. Meantime, between time, my name is Jonathan Jones, TEDx speaker, best-selling author, and the host of Beyond the Ball podcast. And if you have not checked out the last episode that we just dropped, I had the privilege and the pleasure of interviewing Dior Walker. Dior Scott. Dior is a young man who was on the series Last Chance U on Netflix, and he has a really amazing, really phenomenal story. I'd encourage you all to go back and check that out. I have it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Jones Speaks. But all right, my friends, until next time, I just want to remind you to speak your success, believe in your greatness, and continue to create the life and business of your dreams. Why would you want to live any other way?